Hello everyone. I hope you are having a good afternoon and you don't have as much Monday blues as I'm having. I mean, I'm wearing a blue t-shirt. Jokes apart, welcome to another session with Social Samosa. This is not the usual stuff on content, influencers, advertising, marketing. This is more to do with you. When I say it's more to do with you, it's about the people who are working in the business of advertising and marketing. And I think you must have even read it in our promos that how social media never sleeps, and there is so much that is happening uh, at pace. And like as people working in the advertising and marketing industry, we feel the need to be available 24/7. We feel the need to be working almost like 15, 16 hours a day. And there's a lot of pressure that all of us feel at some point in time. So this session is about you. It's about how you could manage the psychology of constant pressure. And I have with me Kanika Agarwal. She's the co-founder and CEO of powered mental strength platform. Kanika has been a serial entrepreneur. She used to run, like her first venture was that of a digital agency, scaled, which scaled to a limit that she ended up selling it to a bunch of people in Singapore. And she's been working in the industry for long, and she's tasted success. But even while that was happening, she's gone through anxiety herself, and that is where probably she found the inspiration or motivation to start MindPeers. So without wasting much of your time with me, I would like to invite Kanika on the Zoom screen. Hi Kanika, welcome to Social Samosa's Samosa Talks. This is not like the usual samosa talks that we do, but this is something which is relevant and really important for our audiences.
Hi, Dave. Thanks. Excited to be here. I've always read about social samosa. I've been very much closely connected to all the work that you guys do, given that I've been myself from digital agency background. So good to be here.
Great, great. So I'll leave the screen to you, Kanika. You can start the session.
Great. All right. So I'm hoping you all can see me fine. You all can hear me fine. And I'll take over. I'm just gonna get the screen up. Let me know once you guys are able to see it. Yeah. I'm guessing all is fine here. So I think I don't want to make it very PPT driven. I hate to do this stuff because the topic we're discussing needs more of emotional connect. It needs all of us to be super empathetic, kind, and we need more of one-on-one, conversations around it. So I hate doing and talking about the psychology related stuff or our mind related stuff by doing PPTs. But then I do have some interesting things that I want to share, and try to keep it short. And then, since we only have 30 minutes, I want to answer as many questions as possible. So, but before that, keeping the interaction in mind, a few things. Number one, that I'm going to share some very personal things with all of you today, whoever has joined us. And I'm hoping that we can create a safe space over here to say that whatever we discuss, we will not judge each other. It will be without any fear of judgment. That's the very first thing. And the second thing is, let's try to be as honest and authentic as possible, because that's when we get the right help also. So very honestly, talking about it, people ask us, "How are you?" And the instant thing that we say to ourselves is, or to everyone around us is that, we are doing great or I'm fine, right? Even though we know we are not. So what we're going to start off with is just to ask you guys today. It's Monday, firstly afternoon. I've had a very crazy start to the week as always. But I want to ask you guys, how are you feeling today? Can you relate to any one of the character over here? And probably why, right? So maybe anyone, you can put it on the chat box. You can just unmute yourself. Let's make it a very interactive session. I'll probably start off. I'm feeling like Phoebe, total madness since morning, calls here and there, meetings that I could not attend because my mind was occupied with just so much to do. So I'm feeling like Phoebe, where I just want to say, stop the madness. Anyone who would like to share what they are feeling like? You can put it on chat as well. Not sure if I'll be. So someone, Hitesh is saying, I'm fine. Anyone else who wants to tell us how they're feeling? Hitesh, you know, right? The Ross's I am fine was a very sarcastic I am fine. He used to be, he was not genuinely fine when he said in the serial that he's fine.
I know, I know.
Yeah, okay, cool. So, great. Anyone else? Okay, someone is saying chat is disabled. I don't know if Hitesh, if the team can look onto it. I just got a message saying the chat is disabled by 2 people. So if you can just look at that. Okay. I'm going to move forward, assuming you are able to relate to any one of it. If someone is able to relate to Poo from K3G, fantastic. It means that your confidence is at an all-time high. Going to the subject of the hour. What makes our life so difficult? And by our life, I mean to say people in agencies right now, whether whatever nature of agency, or even if you're a creative mind, what is making our life so difficult? And I want to start off with my own story. So I think about 8 years ago, um, I started my career with client side, which is unusual. You usually work on agency and then you go on to the client side. But for me, it was reversed. I started with the client side because I started off with Google, then I went to Microsoft, and I realized that life is quite okay over there. I was not getting to do things from ground up, and that's where I made the decision to join Group M, and this was all in Singapore because I was based out of Singapore for the last 14 years. And I started loving the agency life because it was giving me the space to be super creative, to do things by myself, to do things from the ground up. And that was the most exciting thing for me, right? And then after that, I made a decision to start my own agency. So it's called Passion Peers. We got Acqui hired now a couple of years back. But I started that off, and I'll tell you the single biggest problem that I went through, and it was fear. I was constantly going through the fear of failing. I was constantly going through the fear of losing clients, also because it was my own business. Even though the company became a multi-million agency globally, we were headquartered out of Singapore. Everything was fine. Somewhere my fears were driving me, but they went to an extent that about a year from when I started my agency, I was found in the emergency of a hospital because of severe panic attacks. And those panic attacks happened because I never took the courage to say no to clients. I never took the courage to take care of my own self. I always thought that it is okay to just say yes to everything, to please everyone. And that makes this profession even more difficult. You have multiple people to answer to the organization that you're working in, to yourself, and then also the clients that you are servicing, right? And I'm not saying that their life is not difficult, it is, but then probably from the hats we all are wearing on this call, our life just becomes too difficult. We go through the fear of saying that, fear of saying no to when rejections come in. We also fear that if our work gets rejected, how does it make us feel? And it makes us feel worse. So we're always constantly living with fears. We are too many people that we have to please, that we have to make happy. You keep juggling between the fact that, hey, can I say no at all or not? Creative block happens to me all the time. I'm only creative when I'm able to shut my mind down. There is no pressure of deadlines, etc. That's when I can be creative. But creative block is such a common thing that we all go through. And then, of course, career progression. Now, I have put this just from my own experience. I know that there could be a lot of other things that you guys probably personally go through, which makes your creativity slash agency slash consultancy life more difficult. But the one thing to note is that I don't know if the world understands, not just forget India, even if the world understands that how much constantly we are using our mind, not just for work, not just for a personal life, but for everything, even for communication, negotiation, all the skill sets that we have to put at use in an agency life. Everything is utilizing the mind. Everything is utilizing our brain, right? And still, it is so underrated about taking care of your mind. It is so underrated, right? Now, what I wanted to do was that I don't want to bore you guys and I want to take up as many questions as possible. There is no one stop solution to managing your pressures or managing your anxiety or your stress. There isn't. But what I've always felt is that when someone comes and teaches you and tells you that, hey, you need to sleep more, you need to exercise more, start talking to people, we underrate it. We ignore it because we're like, the typical, how will it help? उससे क्या हो जाएगा मैं कर लूंगी तो, right? How is it going to help me? So what I wanted to do was I wanted to take literally 5 to 10 minutes. And I personally believe in this because when I went through my anxiety and panic attacks, and mind you, it was the worst thing that has ever happened to me. And I don't wish anyone should go through it. What I realized was that counseling did not help me personally because I was trying to question everything that was happening. Like if a counselor would tell me she was adopting this practice CBT, which is very common, cognitive behavioral therapy, I would always question that why is she telling me to do this? How is it going to help me? And everything related to your mind, everything related to your stress, your lifestyle is all gradual progression. It does not happen overnight like it happens in your physical health. So I was questioning everything and I said that, look, I need to understand rational things. You need to give me logic that if I do this, this is what's going to happen. The reason why I'm telling you all of this is that I'm going to take about 5 to 7 minutes to literally tell you that there are scientifically things that are happening in your mind which make you the way you are feeling at the moment. So whether it is creator's block, whether it is anxiety, whether it is stress, what exactly happens in our mind that is making you feel the way you feel, it's very important to understand it. And only then you will realize that the common solutions that come to us, why they can be so effective in rewiring the whole science of the mind. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to get into. Okay. Now, I literally wish I was an animal. Like I know human beings are animals, but I literally wish I was probably a zebra. And I'll tell you shortly why, and probably you'll agree with me. Now, what you see in this picture is that the zebra is very happy, right? The zebra is enjoying some intimate moment, social moment with another zebra. And right now, the zebra is super happy. What happens probably after a few hours is that the zebra is being attacked by a tiger or by a lion, whatever you want to make out of it, by a wild animal. What do you think is going to be the first instinct that's going to come to the zebra's mind? What is the natural response the zebra is going to give to this? As soon as the zebra realizes that there is a lion coming to eat me up, what do you think is the zebra going to do? What is it going to feel? And please participate. If you're putting time today, whatever 15-20 minutes you're giving over here, let's participate, unmute, talk, so that you and I both can learn from each other and make the most of the session. So what do you think the zebra is going to do? I'm just going to die, fear of death, run and escape, dodge and run. Anyone else? He would wish to be a tiger. The zebra assesses the threat first. Correct. So you guys get it, right? The thing is that the very first natural response that the zebra's body, the mind, it's actually the mind which is telling the body, it's telling the zebra to run, to save itself, right? To get safe. And it tells the zebra, the mind is telling the body that, hey, if the zebra is not going to run, if the body is not going to run, the zebra will be caught dead. It will not live any longer. So the zebra runs to basically take care of itself, to save itself, correct? And then what happens is the zebra ran, protected itself, and now the zebra is all alone. The zebra has been safe. It goes, hides somewhere, done. And when this happens, the zebra forgets everything else. The zebra knew that it had to run away, and the zebra will come back to normal life. That is all. That's how animals work. Okay. Now comes to human mind. And I know this thing that I'm showing you on the screen is looking super complex, but I'll tell you something. Okay. Human minds, animal minds, etc., The way our mind has been created, okay, psychologically, it has been created to keep us safe from only one thing, which is general life safety. So that is why, even in the human mind, when you know that something is going to risk your life, for example, a tiger comes to you, the first response the mind is going to do, the hormones it's going to release, it's going to tell the body, run. You have to save yourself. And biologically, our body is made for only that kind of safety. Our mind does not understand any other safety mechanism. Okay. The mind only understands how am I going to save this person from dying, from being safe, from like how am I going to help this person to be safe and protected. But so it works in the animal's case. It works in the zebra's case. It works in all other animals' case because that's what matters to them to survive in this world. But is it the same for humans? It's not. We humans are much more complex. We live with so many fears. Today, if I don't get a promotion, constantly there will be a point in life or in your mind which will say it's the end of the world if I don't get a promotion today. If I'm not able to do this project as creatively as possible, it's such a failure on my part. We have millions of fears that we go through, and the mind is not for that. Okay. And I'll tell you why. All these fears that we go through in our life, most of them are perceived fears. These are not factual fears. These are fears that we are making up in our mind, and then they're eating us up. And now let's understand scientifically what's happening. This is called the polyvagal system. If anyone is ever interested to read more about it, Polyvagal, polyvagal stress system. Okay. So what happens is that when everything is going great, you are in the green zone. When there is no stress, you are with people you love, you're full of gratitude, you are happy, there is social engagement, I'm around people, everything is going great. You're in the green zone. This, in case of actual animals, they remain in this state for about 90 to 95% of their life. For us human beings, majority of us are always surviving and coexisting and breathing in the red zone, which is the flight or the fight system of our mind, which is whatever we are doing today, as of now, whatever it is, we are always trying to either fight it or we want to escape from it. Okay. So even the smallest thing, the boss called, the client called, sudden thing in the mind is the client calling to give me another change? Is the client trying to tell me the work is not great? Is the client calling me to tell me that I want another work to be done? And your mind will think of X more things which are to come following that. What you are constantly doing over here is either fighting or you have a flight mode. Flight is when you are escaping it. Fight is when you are giving it a immediate response. So we human beings, majority of the time, are over here in the red zone. Now I'll tell you what happens in the red zone when we are frequently in the red zone. Our mind has a natural system of responding to stress. We produce two hormones, cortisol and adrenaline. That's why we say my adrenaline rush is super high. Or, like we say, okay, hormonal go ho raha hai. Stress, it's auto stress system of the body, of the mind. So what happens is, when you continuously keep going through these small perceived fears in your mind, small stresses in your mind, and you're always in this stage, the mind is helping you. The mind is saying, Kanika, aaj stress ho gaya. Okay, let's release cortisol, let's release adrenaline. She's going to fight it or flight it. She might feel a bit anger, she might feel a bit panic, but she'll get over it. But what happens over the months when you're letting this happen continuously to you? The body has a limitation as well. And the body's limitation comes from the mind's limitation. And what is the limitation the mind goes through? There will be a time in about a few months that your auto stress system will become so intense with all your emotions that it will shut down. And that's when your stress, all these small things that you were feeling, like momentary fear that you felt, all these things start to become burnout. They start to become generalized clinical anxiety, or they start to become big things because now the mind has stopped releasing cortisol or adrenaline in the proportion that it has to. And now you're all by yourself. Your body has collapsed. The autoimmune system, the auto stress system of the mind is not working anymore. You are on your own to deal with the same situations every day. And that's where we go into the free state. So I don't know how many of you know this or are going through this, but let's say what happened to me. And when I took action, I was already in the free state because my fears became so common that I was living with it for literally 7 to 8 months. I didn't do anything about it, thinking that, oh, this is normal. I have fought it for now, and I'm just going to go through the situation. But it was repeating every day. And because of that, my mind never came to the green stage. It was always in the red, 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 red. And a time came when my system shut down and I went on to the free stage. And that's where your long-term clinical stuff start to happen, or you start to feel helplessness, or you feel that there is now no end to having a good life again, right? So we have perceived fears. Mind is not ready for it. That's why most of the times we're in this flight or fight. But then the resources that your mind is producing, the cortisol, adrenaline, etc., also finish off at some point, taking you to the free state. And after that, there is a downhill from there until unless you do something to come back to the green zone again. And it's not that you can't reach here. That's where you start visiting therapists, probably like professionals, proper clinical professionals. You go on to medications and things like that. But imagine if we were able to take care of these things while we were in the red zone. It would have been so much easier, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing that I want to talk about is how do creative minds work? And why do we particularly feel so anxious? But let's take one guess. Does anyone know why anxiety happens? Any guesses on why anxiety happens? Just take a guess. What is happening when you're anxious? Let me just see the chat. Why is your body getting anxious? Sorry. Yeah, I think my internet, I hope you guys can figure out what might happen in anticipation of something that we don't want. Great. Anyone else? Does anyone know what's the difference between probably depression and anxiety? When do you feel depressed? When do you feel anxious? Anyone? I didn't see many answers coming in for the differentiation, but I think most of you, correct. So anxiety happens in the moment itself. Cool. So I think most of you understand the anxiety part of it. See, very simple things. You get anxious because you're constantly thinking of the future. I'm not a clinical expert. I'm only telling you things that I learned from MindPeers, psychologists. I learn it from my clinical people, and these are things that we've been conducting a lot of workshops on. So I bring you that knowledge. But what is usually said is you become depressed about your past, something that you can't change, and you're depressed about it. Anxiety is so common nowadays because anxiety happens for what you are thinking about the future. You have placed yourself in the future. So even I'm sitting today and I'm just thinking, 2 weeks में project approve हो जाएगा क्या? 2 weeks में will I get a hike in my salary or not? 2 weeks में will I be able to do this project or not? 2 weeks में will I be earning more or not? Will I get married or not? All of these things, even right now when I'm in the present, when your mind is always in the future, worrying about the future, that's when anxiety happens. Anxiety is when you're constantly placing yourself in the future and not in the present. And it has started to become so common because, of course, we are complex human beings and we have pressures of everything, right? We want everything and anything to happen for us, both in our personal and professional life. Okay. Now, I want to tell you scientifically that how a creative person's mind works, okay? And why do we go through what we call a creator's block or a creative person's block, okay? The good thing is, and something to be very proud of, we creative people, and anyone can be creative, but I'm particularly talking about a lot of us who are constantly like we're creators who fall under the category of creators. The thing is, creators have a tendency to be more in the salience network of their brain, which I will tell you shortly what it means, as compared to normal people. So if you are a creative person, if you do, and you know how creativity works, you have to imagine a lot of things, you have to think a lot of things in terms of, you are a bit separated out from rationality, right? Does everyone agree that when you're creating things, when you're imagining things, when you're in a more of an artist state or digital or whatever, a lot of times you have to segregate yourself from logic. Will everyone agree with me on that? Is that what a creator usually has to do also? Yeah. I hope you guys agree with me on that. Now, what happens is that usually when you have a creator's brain, you have more ability to be in the salience network as compared to normal humans. And let's see what it means. A salience network is nothing but something which allows your mind to switch between two networks. One network is called the default mode network of the brain. And the second network is called the central executive network. Okay. Now I'll tell you what these two do, what the DFM and what your CEN do. DFM gets activated when you are not doing any task, when you're not working on anything. It's the imagination part of your brain. It's when you are daydreaming. It's when you are thinking of something creative. And this is very, very important, obviously, for a creator. The DFM is very important for a creator, right? The CN is what your prefrontal cortex, the right and the front, the decision-making part of your brain. And this part is the most conscious part of your brain because every day, the decisions that you're making, the things that are irking you, all the rational, logical stuff, it all comes from the central executive network. So what happens is that in normal people, the central executive network is more dominated. They will be able to prioritize, they will be more rational, logical, number driven, all of that. So creative people, we have the ability to keep switching between the default mode network and the central executive network. We have this special capability because only then you think creatively in DMN, when you think creatively in this network, and when you have to bring that creativity to life, you have to go back to the CEM. So this salience network allows you to switch between both. Okay. Now, when anxiety happens or when a creative block happens, what is actually happening is that your salience network is failing you, especially for anxiety. It basically means you're not able to switch properly. And when you're not able to switch properly, you will be mostly in the DFN zone. DMN zone, sorry, my bad, in the DMN zone. Why will you be more in the DMN zone? Because your mind automatically will keep making you imagine things. And what happens when you imagine? You have all the fears of future also sitting in that zone. And you tend to go into pressure. You tend to go into anxiety. You tend to go into too much overthinking, and you start to wonder about things which do not even exist in reality. So that is why to be healthily creative, it's very important that we keep switching, right? If you are too much into this mode, one, you get anxious very easily. And second, it starts to hinder your creativity also. And because we guys have the ability to develop the salience network, we have to make good use of it, right? And we have to be always able to maintain a balance between both of these things. Now, both these things that I have talked about from a scientific perspective, okay, they tell you what exactly or how your mind is working. Why are you feeling stressed? Why are you constantly feeling pressured? Why that anxiety or why that creators block, etc. Now, the valid question to ask is, what is the solution? How do we overcome it? I'll tell you something. Maybe you might feel that, hey, the solutions that Kanika is going to say right now are quite disappointing because we hear this every day. But unfortunately, there is no magic to it. Okay. When we tell you that be present in the moment, take out time for yourself, healthy sleep routines, journaling, which is emptying your mind on a paper, on a laptop, seeing people, having community, taking out time for yourself to do things which make you truly content. All of these things are releasing dopamine, serotonin, and they're scientifically helping to keep all these things in picture. The difficult thing about doing all these things is making them a habit. So if you tell me, Kanika, is there a magic wand to it? No, there isn't. These are all solutions that you guys hear every day in out. Talk to a professional, let yourself out, vent out, journal, sleep, exercise, um, take out time for yourself, make values, maintain boundaries. If you know that after 10 p.m. it's time for your brain to shut down from your work, do that. Don't take calls after 10 p.m. And I know it's easier said than done, but then you need to make your personal professional boundaries as well. So there is no magic wand to it. And when I'm answering questions, if you guys do have any questions for me, I'll be happy to share things which worked for me. But these are all your common solutions that you guys need to, go for. Okay. I'm just going to do a quick time check. So I think we are over time as well. So having said that, I want to do this quick exercise with you guys. This is something, now I'm just getting to things that we do at MindPeers with, people who come and engage with different activities. So if you all are able to hear me, this is a feelings test. Just do it for yourself. There is no right or wrong. Keep it to yourself. I'll be really happy if you put it in the chat. But this is one of it's not by us. This test is by another psychologist, psychiatrist, a very world famous psychologist who made it. And a lot of psychologists all over the world use it. Our own therapists also use it to come to know that what is the person feeling right now. And then there are a lot of answer questions that happen around it. So tell me, which number do you associate with the most? What are you feeling right now, later on, or you were feeling few days back? Anyone wants to share, you can unmute yourself as well. What number are you feeling the most right now? Thirteen, 14, 1. Anyone feeling, let me just see this. Anyone feeling, I can't see the screen. Anyone feeling 20? Is anyone feeling 20? 21 and 5. So you might be feeling something right now, and the aim could be to get to another number, right? For example, today I'm feeling 3. Most of the days I feel 3. I'll tell you the reason, because I always feel that I'm trying to get somewhere. I'm trying to climb hard to get to somewhere. So most of the times I feel 3. I'm just putting this thing over here. You will find it at a lot of online places also. What your number means, and you can see whichever you were feeling. The idea is that when you go through this, talk to a professional to help you open it up more. Okay, to help you open up with why you're feeling this way, and they're going to break it down in things for you, and to help you just get to the desired number that you wanted. Okay. I'm going to stop here. We don't have the time to go through things of how we do, like solutions that we provide in MindPeers also. So I don't want to get into that. I want to just open up to questions. If you need any practical advice of how I went through my anxieties, how did I overcome my panic attacks. By the way, I still go through it a lot of times. I do see a counselor also on a regular basis. I see my counselor monthly. But if there are any questions around that, I'll be happy to take it up. Even if there are any questions, comments, more than happy. Might not have the answers to everything clinical, but I'll try my best to take it up internally and then even come back to you guys on that. So, any questions that anyone has? Okay. We have a question on how to find out the right therapist for your personality. Great question. Let me just see. This question has come from. Okay. Deepshika, there is no one way to do this, but I don't know how aware you are. Unfortunately, all of us are not well informed, but there are assessments that exist, okay, where you first check out what kind of personality do you belong to. And then more than that, you also need to take certain assessments which help you to know that what are the areas that I'm struggling the most with. And then according to that, you can match yourself to a therapist. I, again, not coming from a point of selling MindPeers over here, but fortunately, what we're doing at MindPeers is very much aligned to this, Vikshika. So if you ever get a chance to look at our app or even our web platform, we give you a test, you take that test, and that test tells you the areas that you need to improve on. We also have a matching engine where you just choose what you are struggling with, and it will tell you the right kind of therapist to go for. So you can do that. Otherwise, there are certain personality tests that exist, which will make you more informed about what are the things that you should look out for when you are seeing a therapist. And if you can just maybe DM me privately, give me your details and email ID. I'm going to send you the list of those assessments that you can go for. Ashish was asking, how can one stay motivated all the time? Ashish, very deep question. There is no single way to do it. I'm just going to tell you how I stay motivated, Ashish, and I don't know if that's going to help you or not, but at least it can give you a bit of an inspiration, I hope. Ashish, I have something called a vision board. For me, motivation comes from when I'm constantly doing things, both in my personal and in my professional life, that make me feel that I'm propelling forward in life. Okay, that's my funda of feeling purposeful and staying motivated. And actually, how I go about it is that practically, I'm telling you, I have created something called a creative vision board for myself. You can Google it out. There are a lot of templates for vision boards. And what you do in that vision board is actually like I have split it into quarterly stuff that I want to do. And this is not just professional stuff that, hey, this is the goal I want to achieve, or this is what I want to do. I have a vision board about my relationship with my partner, my family, my health. What are some of the health stuff that I want to do? My work, and then also relationship with the outside world. How much do I want to talk to new people? How many new people do I want to meet? And Ashish, I've given myself numbers and methodologies to work towards that. And somehow, twice or thrice a week, I go back to that vision board. I see it. It's pictorial. It has a lot of text written to it. It's not like a to-do list. And that keeps me motivated. That is telling me every day to wake up, whatever changes my life needs to complete that vision board. That is helping me. You can say developing a routine in a way. But again, I'm not telling you you have to wake up 8 a.m. in the morning. I don't do that. I'm not a morning person. I start my day at 11 a.m. I sleep at about 1 a.m. in the night, or 1 to 2 a.m. But that vision board, something to look forward to, Ashish, when we plan for ourselves. I think humanly that is something that keeps us motivated. So you need to find out things that propel you forward, that drive you. Find ways to do those things, and you will see that motivation to do things automatically comes in. Yep. Um, Kanika says that sometimes I feel thinking about these things make me spiral more. I agree with you, right? Once we are already overthinking, and then when you think about all these things, it makes you overthink more. Kanika, the only solution to that is, I don't know if you want to personally chat and just send in a DM. What you need to ask yourself is, what are you doing to take things out of your mind? Are you doing something to empty your mind or not? It's such an underrated thing, but our minds work with visualization. When something is going here and it's all messed up, it's all spiraling, even if you do a simple exercise of putting it down on paper, just scribble it down on paper, it helps. So what really matters is what are you doing to constantly empty your mind, because your mind is like a bucket. You're filling it in, filling it in, filling it, भरेगा कभी तो. पर खाली करने के लिए क्या कर रहे हो? That's what matters is that. Dhwani says, how can agencies create an environment that doesn't trigger anxiety? I can go on this. Okay, not a one-stop formula for this, but Dhwani, when I was running my agency, and as a founder of that agency, I'll just tell you 2 to 3 things that we did. Okay, and some people might like it, some people might not like it, but firstly, creating open spaces and having a culture where open conversations are allowed does not start from employee to leader. It needs to happen from leaders to employees. So it's very important that leaders, your upper management, they start to tell their team members about what they go through. On Fridays, you guys can just have like 30 minutes of reflective sessions, where these leaders tell you that, you know what, I'm as much human as you are, and I also go through all these things. This is what's irking me right now. That open conversation helps a lot. It's the first step. No tool, no solution, nothing is going to help as much as open conversations trickling down from leadership to employees help. Second, simple things. Slack. I'm sure most of you guys are using Slack, or I don't know, whatever communication tools you use. Letting people update their status on that. Like, for example, if I'm not feeling great, I would just put over there that, guys, today I'm mentally drained. I might not be in the best mood. Okay. It starts from there. Second is, an environment that doesn't trigger anxiety is how you also converse with each other. When people say, "Arey, if you jaldi वापस जा रहा है, अरे she was offline, if you jaldi offline चला गया," we need to set a framework of psychologically safe workplaces. What are the do's and don'ts? What are some of the things we have to be privy about when we're conversing with each other, so that we don't make the other person feel fearful, or we don't make them feel as if, by logging off early, they're doing something bad. These are simple ways in which this can be controlled. And besides that, Dhwani, depending on where your organization is in its, in its stage, what kind of demographics you have, what are the specific problems that are coming up, there is obviously personalized things that can be done. Yeah. Sonali says the hustle culture is slowing down and the new generation is not succumbing to the current custom. How do you see the future of hiring and retention in a high pressure work? So, Sonali, I want to tell you something and you'll be surprised. We did a research. We guys have about, we've now have about like 4-5 lakh customers until now, in the 2 years that MindPeers has been live. We did a research very recently, okay? And this was a proper research done amongst our customers. And these are people between the ages of 24 to about 38. So now you know what they said? Majority of them, even your Gen Zs, I'm not just talking about millennials, they ended up saying that they do not want to do away from the hustle culture. They love hustle culture. They, even however much they want to do away from it, they cannot, but they just like the hustle culture because the hustle culture is helping them to propel forward. But what they want to understand is that in that hustle culture, while they're doing things for their personal and professional life, how can they be more happy about it? How can they be more satisfied in it? How can they enjoy the hustle culture more? At least that's what we have come to know. And to your question, retaining, future of hiring in such a high pressure work, it all boils down to the open culture, to the promises, to how much your leadership is living it. It all boils down to that. How much flexibility you are giving to people. You will see that our economy is going more towards gig economy. Why? Because people want hybrid workforces. People want their own flexibility to think creatively. How much time, how much environment, like that qualitative cultural environment we're giving to them, it all practically boils down to that. I'm going to give you an example and you can just chat with me privately also. I'm going to give you an example of HubSpot. Given you most of your agency folks, you know about the brand HubSpot. I'm assuming you do. I've worked in Singapore, like I told you guys. HubSpot has this beautiful culture, okay, where every Friday, their leadership gets together with their team. All they talk about is what went wrong in their life in the last 7 days. And I have spoken to so many of my partners, because we partner with HubSpot a lot of times. I've spoken to so many employees of HubSpot, and that's one of the foremost reasons they love being in HubSpot. They are like, because we see our boss saying this, like our boss saying that, hey, I had a fight with my spouse and it's making me feel very anxious. I get the courage to share the same thing as well. Okay, so it's small things to start with, and then you go on to the bigger things, making committees and all of that. I'm subconsciously scarred by the pressure of Delft professionally, never get a job. Anjali, this is self-esteem. I might not be able to answer this clinically for you. Please DM me. I'm going to connect you to the right people who are going to help you overcome this. It's a very, very common thing that you're going through. You're not alone in going through this, but please DM me if possible, or get my email ID or something, and I'm happy to connect you to the right people to help you on this. Deadlines are met without putting pressure on the employees. How are you helping them be productive? That's the first question. Firstly, knowing whether your employees are productive or not, whether when they're working, are they really working or not. See, deadlines and performing with deadlines is connected to efficiency, and it's connected to productivity, and it's connected to communication. All these basics need to be put into structure. And I'm not, like, I know it sounds easy than being done, but there are a lot of elements of measurement that you have to put in over here, Siju, because there is no one fit answer to say that how can you ensure that deadlines are met. You can only ensure it if the employees are being productive, if the issues that they face to meet their deadlines are being met, and if there are behavioral issues, then you need to come to know what are those behavioral issues. So again, there are a lot of assessments that exist out there which can be taken just to see how productive people are feeling, what is hindering them to not meet their deadlines, and then you can come out with personalized solutions of how we want to assess it. And we also do this. So again, feel free to DM if you want to get more solutions around it. What are some handy tips agency folks can follow to counter anxiety immediately? Please start conversations openly. Equip your employees with certain tools that if this happens, how do you go about it? Give them certain frameworks, give them certain resources. Riaz, there are a lot of organizations, including ours, that exist, which do this work for you. And I think we did partner with Social Samosa at the agency awards. All the agencies who have won awards, I think you guys have got free hours of counseling that you can take from us. So it all boils down to creating content, psychoeducation material, resources to start with, so that your employees know that these resources exist. You can go to those resources whenever you need it, and try to start doing more activities, workshops, etc. around these things. I just if you get the time, and I should be more prepared. I should be more prepared for this, but just check out our LinkedIn. Very recently in Myntra is one of our clients. We guys ended up doing something called an open label exercise for them. We gave them bands, and one band says today is a bad day. It's red in color. Green says today is fantastic. Yellow says today is okay. Okay. And what Myntra has done is, you go in the office at the reception, those 3 bowls are kept. MindPeers ka kuch stuff is kept. Every day, employee is wearing the band that they're feeling the most. And during the day, they come back, they exchange the band to say, oh, things just got worse. This is how I'm feeling about things right now. The other thing that we have done, and maybe I should be able to send you some photos of it, or if you see us again, we're doing mental health parties, we are doing art therapies, we are doing a lot of card games which are related to mental health, which help people to talk out. We have done open labels. So at least in our office now, and I'll just show it to you shortly, we have this label, and people know that if I'm not talking enough, it means that I'm getting anxious about something. So counter anxiety immediately. Please start to create resources, make these resources accessible, psychoeducate them, and just don't stop at creation. Also tell people where to access it. Yeah. I feel these days I wake up to more anxiety than having anxiety. Yes, the reason is that when you wake up to more, you're waking up to a long list of tasks. You're not giving yourself the time to just even break down your day. You're continuously bombarding yourself with what people want from you. So it's very obvious. We are like, we don't have proper routines anymore. And when people used to tell us that wake up, give yourself 1 hour just to see what the day is going to look like ahead, these things matter because you're training your mind in the flight and fight response system that, hey, last minute things are going to drop out, but I am prepared for it. These affirmations, 1 hour to yourself when you start your day, whenever you're starting your day, all these things matter. So this question from Keithy on LinkedIn, I mean, I know what you mean and I go through it every day. Even if I'm telling you guys to practice these things, it's hard to follow it, but it's happening because our days and nights are filled up with life patterns which are made up of others' expectations, right? So that's the other thing too. So I think, Hitesh, I just want to say we're running over time. I do have to get off. There are a lot of questions. Is it possible for me to answer this question via email or chat or something later on? Would that be possible, Hitesh? I know there are lots of them I see.
Sure. So what we can do, Kanika, is like we'll collate these questions from our end and send it to you.
Yeah.
Probably you could answer them. So some of the questions I've seeded from LinkedIn as well. Like I've got them on LinkedIn. I put them on chat here. So maybe
Yeah.
if you find time, you could reply to them on LinkedIn directly. I think a bunch of people are asking for your connect. So in case you
I
could,
have just put it on email, sorry, on chat. They can
yeah,
just directly email me.
yeah,
And I just quickly, because there were so many questions on what you should do, I just quickly wanted to show everyone something, though there is a video that's going to come out as well. But just out of curiosity, if someone wants to do this, let me just see if I have it. Yeah, I do. So I don't know how many of you do have modern well-being providers that are being used in your agencies or personally for you. And I don't know if you can see this over here, but this is my label, and I don't know, can you see it? The camera is
it's
blurred.
kind of blurred, but
Uh, yeah, so I'll just tell you my label over here says co-founder MindPeers. I'm a leader who has anxiety. Sometimes I'll have my off days too. So this is what my thing over here says. And when you scan this, this goes to the counseling, like not the counseling, but to the MindPeers platform. So we have done this with a lot of our clients, and these are MNC startups, etc. And it just imagine if I'm going around, right? Few years back, people would have judged me for this.
right.
But she is saying she's a leader and she has anxiety. Big deal. So the first thing always starts from open conversations. And if I'm as a leader not able to communicate that to you, forget about employees getting open up and employees taking that step, right, towards the betterment. So, and for whoever who asks for assessments, for tests, for more such resources, just drop me an email and I'll definitely connect you guys with the right people who can help you with that.
Great. Thank you, Kanika. Thanks a lot for your time. I think there are a lot of people asking if there'll be more sessions like these in future. So probably we'll collaborate with MindPeers again and maybe do a detailed session with Kanika once again sometime. Yeah.
Thanks, Dave. Like
Kanika, thanks.
pleasure, and I just to everyone on the call, my sincere request: try to put yourself first as well. Plan your things out. We do go through double pressures, but it is not something that cannot be avoided. It's just about how you got into the habit of being in constant pressure. Now you need to develop habits of getting out of those pressures as well, right? And I would love to connect with everyone and connect you to the right resources as well. Thanks, Satish.
Thank you, Kanika. Thanks a lot once
Thank
again.
you. Bye, everyone.
Those of you who want like more sessions from MindPeers or like more sessions from MindPeers and Social Samosa, please feel free to drop us a note on that LinkedIn live video where you are watching. Most of you are watching it. We'll try to collaborate. Like I said, we'll try to collaborate with Kanika again and try to see if we could do some more sessions such as this. Thanks a lot for tuning in. this is probably the start of a bunch of conversations that we've been doing in the past, but they've been very unstructured of sorts from Social Samosa's end. But we do feel morally responsible to take these smaller steps for the community. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and I hope to see you guys soon.